What was Socrates' view on self-knowledge, and how did he convince others that they didn't have adequate knowledge of a particular matter? And finally, what accusations were made against Socrates that led to his execution? Follow this video to get the answer. Socrates was one of the great philosophers of ancient Greece. He was born in the Hellenistic period and was considered the most famous scholar of Plato's philosophy and was the teacher of Plato and some other philosophers. Socrates had many authors, but he never wrote himself, and his works were written by his friends and students. In his writings, various dimensions of ethics, justice, and the existence of God are examined. In order not to miss our next videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Socrates had no problem with self-knowledge and thinking about himself, and this issue was even very important to him. He believed that self-knowledge means knowing oneself and understanding one's faults and weaknesses. This knowledge can help to improve a person's thinking and behavior. For Socrates, self-knowledge required a fair and impartial attitude towards oneself. He believed that getting as much information as possible about oneself and examining individual opinions and beliefs can lead to better self-knowledge. Socrates' main method for self-knowledge was to use the question and answer method. Considering talking to others, he asked difficult and complex questions to help a person reach a deeper analysis of himself and his beliefs. This process allowed a person to examine his beliefs, values, and goals and gain a better understanding of himself and the related facts. In general, the concept of self-knowledge in Socrates' philosophy required an effort to obtain general knowledge and an honest self-analysis and evaluation. Knowing about one's awareness or lack of awareness and analyzing personal strengths and weaknesses allows a person to improve himself and get closer to truth. Therefore, for Socrates, self-knowledge was a path of inquiry and reasoning about one's true self, beliefs, and values that would help one get closer to the truth and experience personal improvement. Socrates debated using the meutic or art of questioning method. He used questions that were not easy to answer and were rarely superficial. Socrates' main goal in debates was to achieve deeper understanding and more careful thinking through the use of controversial questions. During the debate, Socrates seemed to be listening and asking questions rather than stating his views outright. He emphasized to the person in front of him, including his students and audience, to seek the present conflicts and weaknesses in their own views. He started with probing questions to lead a person to a deeper understanding of a problem. His mind was full of purposeful and challenging questions to provide space for discussion and thinking. His questions usually started from various aspects, such as definitions, examples, arguments, or from common facts and beliefs. In debates, Socrates generally sought to improve understanding and reasoning as well as to obtain logical and reasonable conclusions. When others answered Socrates' questions, he listened carefully to the answers and then asked questions about those items along with retelling what others had said. This action examined understanding of their views and beliefs and tried to reach logical conformity or non-conformity in the conversation. In this way, he pointed out weaknesses and inaccuracies in the thoughts of his audience and encouraged them to think and question more deeply. Socrates did not want to impose his opinion on others by force. Rather, he created interaction and deeper thinking through questions and answers. This method of debate has become one of the oldest and most effective methods of thinking and teaching in the history of philosophy. After saying all these things, we reach to a sorrowful ending. The trial and death of Socrates are the most upsetting facts in his life and the story. Socrates' trial was held in Athens in 399 before Christ and eventually led to his death sentence. The main reason for Socrates' trial was that he was accused of irreligion, disbelief in the gods, and leading the youth to corruption. Socrates was aware of his influence on teenagers and considered their education as his responsibility, but the political and religious individuals in the Athenian Judicial Council were worried that Socrates' teachings would have negative effects on the formation of their own ideology. In his trial, Socrates faced a number of accusations as a defendant. Among these accusations, we can point out discrimination among the citizens of Athens, ignorance, and having unusual and suspicious points of view. In fact, Socrates used philosophical tricks and logical arguments to defend himself. He never showed himself as an angry teacher and behaved with firmness and determination towards his trial. However, Socrates' attempts to defend himself failed, and the Athenian Judicial Council condemned him for the aforementioned charges. Even though some of his students offered him to bribe the prison guards and escape, he did not accept this advice and could not disobey the law and act against it. Finally, death penalty was given to him, and he was executed by drinking poison from the hemlock cup in the presence of his companions. The death of Socrates is undoubtedly one of the great points in the history of philosophy. He bid farewell to the world at the age of 70 in February 399 before Christ, faithful to his principles and values. Although his death was a cruel tragedy, many of his views on morality, justice, and philanthropy became influential for the upcoming years. His death marks the end of an era of ancient Greek philosophy, but his values and ideas have been immortalized in Western civilization. By keeping his way of thinking alive and joining new challenges, we can benefit from the great legacy he left for us. The death of Socrates is recorded as an historical event, and it is possible that the exact details about it may not be found. However, some happenings have been informed to future generations through old narratives and writings. Although these narratives may contain excessive exaggerations, they help to give us a clear understanding of Socrates' end. What do you think about this great philosopher? Do you believe that his trial was unfair? Express your opinions through the comments section.